Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Boxer Boxing. Now, man, former 168 champion, WBC champion, David Benavidez, man, he had a fight. It was wild, man. He was supposed to fight Jose Uzagadiki, but Uzagadiki test positive for PEDS, and he had to get a late replacement in Kyrone Davis, man. Now, the fight was a great fight, man. Kyrone Davis being a shorter fighter, he was moving around the ring, trying to box well the first round. And as the fight went on and on, Kyrone Davis started getting walked down, and basically David Benavidez was catching his distance and slowly but surely throwing more punches and just overwhelming Kyrone Davis. Now, Davis had heart, man. He was throwing punches. He was in the fight for a little bit. He had really good countering ability. He basically, in the beginning of the fight, when he was moving really, really well, he was able to catch David Benavidez in between his punches before David started really letting his hands go, right? But as the fight went on, David Benavidez was investing to Kyrone Davis's body, and it slowed Davis down to the point where David Benavidez, he could throw more punches without being countered. And the more punches that David threw, and the less counter punches Davis threw, right? So he basically, to stop Davis from countering him, David Benavidez just threw more punches, which worked in the end, man. I mean, David Benavidez is doing some real advanced stuff in his fight. He was switching from southpaw to orthodox, and just, when Kyrone had his guard up, he'll go southpaw and then hit right in between his guard, because there's sometimes so when Kyron's at a certain angle on Davis, on Benavidez, he really can't land certain punches. But when Benavidez goes southpaw, he can land certain punches that he couldn't land as an orthodox. So that's what David Benavidez was doing, man. Real advanced stuff in there. And Kyrone Davis is showing heart, man. At one point, he was talking trash to him, and it was almost the beginning of the end. He was trying to make David Benavidez get wild so he can counter him more, because David Benavidez, while he was walking him down, throwing combinations, he was doing it in a smart way. He wasn't really doing it in a defensively, reckless way. So when he's throwing these combinations, he was doing it such that Kyrone really couldn't counter him anymore. So that being said, man, Kyrone, he showed heart to the point where his corner had to stop the fight because he had too much heart for his own good. But that was a great performance from Kyrone. I understand, like I said earlier, Jose Uzagadiki test positive, right? So that means that Kyrone, he had like a 2-week notice. So he looked really good in that fight. He's actually a 160 fighter, right? He went up in weight. So this guy's not even a natural 168 fighter. So that was wild stuff from Kyrone Davis, man. Big dog stuff, man. One of his definitely marquee fights for sure. I want to see more of the guy, and we're gonna see how his career goes from here, man. Like I said earlier, he said he's really a smaller fighter going up in weight, but yeah, he says he's gonna go back down to 160, man. That's his like real natural weight, 160. So we're gonna see what happens with Kyrone Davis. But yeah, man, after the fight, man, David Benavidez, he started calling out Jamal Charlo. First, he called out Canelo Alvarez. He says the people want to see Canelo Alvarez. Then he called Jamal Charlo a bitch. He said, man, that guy's a bitch. He didn't want to fight me, man. He's scared. So Jamal Charlo is gonna really have to do something about that, because you can't be getting called that on TV and just play it cool, So, everyone's trying to get the Canelo Alvarez sweepstakes, and people have been real quiet lately. All these top dogs, the Jamal Charlos, all these other guys, they haven't really said anything, right? So with all that being said, man, we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out, man, between David Benavidez, Canelo Alvarez, Jamal Charlo. But I mean, David Benavidez is already talking about fighting David Benavidez is talking about fighting Canelo Alvarez in Cinco de Mayo. So it seems like you got that fight already. It's already in the books, Mexican versus Mexican, Cinco de Mayo. This would be the biggest Mexican versus Mexican fight since Chavez Sr. versus freaking Oscar De La Hoya, in my opinion. I guess you could say Chavez Jr., but Chavez Jr. has never been really that guy. He didn't really do much besides win the title against Sergio Martinez. Well, he actually, before that, he didn't beat Sergio Martinez. but he fought him and then he actually lost that fight. But you know, he won the title. He really didn't do anything, and you know, his career just didn't do well like it was supposed to. You know, so we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out with Benavidez and Canelo Alvarez. I actually do think this is a good fight because Benavidez is extremely active, and he won't gas out like Caleb Plant did. Caleb Plant, when he fought Canelo Alvarez, he was really hesitant because Canelo Alvarez walked forward and threw those left hooks to the body. That height really gave Canelo some problems, man, for sure. Again, and when Caleb Plant threw his hands, you know, he was landing punches. I think that David Benavidez is one of the hardest fights that Canelo can fight because everyone at those bigger weight classes don't really fight big as far as walking guys down. David Benavidez uses every freaking scintilla of his height, reach, and weight on you. So him versus Canelo Alvarez is definitely one for the books, man. I think that's going to be a great fight, and I'm actually really excited to see that fight, man. So I think that's a great fight for Cinco de Mayo. That's going to be a big fight for boxing, and yeah, man, big stuff, big dog stuff. But we'll see what happens, man. It's it's almost the end of the year. I mean, Cinco de Mayo is coming right down the corner. It's November, and we're gonna see how things unfold. But yeah, man, that's the post-fight review for the David Benavidez versus Kyrone fight. Let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Like, comment, subscribe. This is Empire. Geo Empire. Bitch. Geo.